In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to play Awakening Striker, and so what are we waiting for? Let's get this started. Try this combo, which is pressing SF and then holding down F. And then uses 4 abilities just like that. Not even that, we can also use Skull Crusher, which is Shift F and then just pressing F as well. Then we can use easy flow skill just like this right here. And then if you guys want to be fancy, we can use a main skill, which is coming from right here, Twisted Collision, which is pressing Q and then hold down F and then see what happens. And then uses 5 abilities just like that right there. Amazing part about Awakening Striker is that it has 2 grabs. And so instead of playing Succession, then if you play Awakening, he has another grab from right here, which is Hellbreak. And then a main skill, he does have a grab right here, which is Massive Suppression. And so that's why he can be very, very powerful on PvP. So when we press E, it is going to use our main weapon, but look at this. It still stays on Awakening form. So for example, if you do Shift+RMB, see, you see fire right there? That means we're still in Awakening form. So even though we use a grab from main weapon, we can still stay on Awakening form, and so it's very, very powerful. And so when we do E, it comes from main skill, and then we have another grab, which is E again, and then now we use that from Awakening form. So yeah, it's very, very powerful for PvP. Highly recommend it, and so that's why you'll see a lot of Awakening Strikers these days. Not even that, he has so much healing. So for example, if you do E buff, which is Shifty, he has 500 HP right there. So boom, and we get buff right there. And then Furious Assault, which is W+RMB. But the most important part is that it recovers 300 HP right there as well. And then we can use Battle Cry itself, which is down RMB. And then we can also get 300 HP right there. And then recover 65 HP per hit. So he has crazy amount of, recovery HP as well. Super, super powerful as well. And then he also has another one, which is Flow by Off right here, WF, and then just holding down WF as well. And then at the end, he does have 300 HP on that one as well. And then lastly, we have Spiral Cannon as well, which has recovered 20 HP per hit. It's not as much, but it still has healing benefits. And then comparing with main skills versus Awakening, main skills just has so much skills and it can be overwhelming for new BDO players. And so if you guys do play Awakening though, there's not much skills, and the best part, it has a lot of flow skills as well. This one is WF and then holding out WF, right? And then this can be like pressing F and then holding F uses the Battle Cry and stuff like that. And Spiral Cannon, you guys can do Shift+LMB and then pressing spacebar. Like, it's not a hard combo that you guys need to memorize. So he can be very, very easy and very quick to learn. Let's learn about his movement skills first. And so in order to do the hardest one, I think would be using the main skills, which is going to be, one of them is going to be Twisted Collision. In order to use it, is pressing Q. This one is spammable as well. The first one has forward guard, so don't spam it on PvP. On PvE, you can maybe spam it, but there's really no point because it doesn't really have damage. However, you guys have a flow skill, which is going to be using like Nimbus Strike, which is pressing F. And then he dashes forward like that. But now we're still stuck in, Succession form. In order to go back to Awakening form, then we can use something Skull Crusher, which has a flow skill. And so when we press Q and then F and then hold down F, it's going to use Skull Crusher, and it will look something like this. Boom! And then you see like, big AoE damage with, one shadow clone right here. That means you are in Awakening form now, so now you guys can use like all the Awakening forms. So once again, even though if you guys are in Awakening form, you guys can easily just press Q, uppercut, and then hold down the F. And then you guys can basically do that for a movement skill as well. The most important one is going to be Furious Assault, W+RMB for a short, jump like that. But if you guys want to go even further, just hold down the W+RMB and then see what happens. And then he will jump like even further. Next, we have a short dash as well, which is Rampaging Predator, and then Bite Off as well for flow skill. But let's say that we have First Assault and I want to get close to this guy, and we used it. Oh, we're so close, right? What you guys can do now is using Rampaging Predator, get close, and then now you guys can give a grab, right? So that's another good strategy is, you guys can use First Assault, try to get close. If you're still not there, then WF, and then, give a grab, right? So that's another strategy right there that you guys can use as a movement skill aggression for giving a grab. And then we also have movement skill, which is enhanced mass destruction. And in order to use it, A or D RMB, can you literally slide off on PvP or PvE. So you guys can definitely use that. Just keep in mind the first one only has a super armor. After that, it has no super armor. So yeah, don't spam it on PvP. Another cool part is that when we do, Q and then F, now we're still in succession form since we didn't use Skull Crusher. Now you guys can use Mass Destruction, which is A or D, and then pressing C. And then now it changes to Awakening form, right? And so that's what you guys can do right there as well. He also has this ability, which is Silent Step, and which is A or D, and then pressing Shift. So you guys can try something like this. For example, we're gonna add a combo, which is Enhanced Mass Destruction, and then doing that together. So it will look something like that. And then another best one for like engaging enemy is Spiral Cannon. So in order to use it, Shift+LMB, it has a knockdown and super powerful for being aggressive. So I highly recommend maybe on PvP using the Spiral Cannon. It has a super armor for selected skills. Because this one has knockdown, but then if you guys use it naked, like it doesn't have any protection, so you might fall while using that ability. And so yeah, very, very risky to use, and so definitely use the super armor one right here for selected skill for PvP. That is my recommendation. And then he also has a flow skill once again, which is pressing spacebar. So boom, bow. So it does have a flow skill at the end as well. So if you give a first CC, you can easily just give second CC like that. And so there's some pros and cons, right? So if you actually land a hit on your Spiral Cannon, and then if you guys press spacebar, then he has a second CC. Now you can't even give any CCs to the enemy. But let's say that they blocked your first knockdown, right? So they blocked this. And then now you guys can use spacebar for a second CC, right? So that can be another strategy right there as well. And then last but not least, we have the movement skill, which is double flash. And it's basically going to use the main skill, which is flash step. And in order to use it, you guys can do W shift like this to go forward, or you guys can go press backwards and then press shift to go backwards like this as well. And so keep in mind though that for those people who are not sure how you get like 6 dashes, you guys can use Martial Spirit Shard right here. And then if we have 2 orbs, that means we can always get 3 dashes right now plus 2. So we can get 5 dashes. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we always use our first 3 dashes just from the skill. And then after that, it's going to use the other 3 skills depending on how many stacks you have right here. And then going from there. So in order to get the stacks back, basically you have to use some kind of specific skills. And so for example, if you do ultimate crush, which is down in B, you basically get like 2 orbs right there. And so now we can do 5 dashes again. And so that's how you guys can get easy stacks like that. And so PvE grinding, you guys can easily get this up to like 3 stacks. But PvP, you might have to maybe give them a grab and then give some specific, you know, combos and stuff like that to get some orbs back. So that way you guys can maybe dash out 5 times. Or, you know, save it for engagement later on. And the best part about Awakening Striker, he has some really good knockdown skills. For example, we have Spiral Cannon. So for example, if you give a grab, the second CC can be like Shift+LMB, right? Giving a second CC with a knockdown. Or we can give a grab, and then we can use Fallout, which is pressing RMB. And then he also has a second knockdown as well. And so very, very powerful for PvP because his CCs like are knockdowns. Usually like ninjas, they always have floating, so they will stand back up very, very fast. But he has a knockdown, so most likely they're going to stay on the floor for long periods of time. Descendant of Fury, if you guys use it, Shift E, or you guys can lock it and put it on a hotkey, but then it will recover 500 HP once again. And then it has all DP plus 50, attack speed 30, all resistance 30, and all evasion rate 15%. So that's the reason why you guys will see a lot of Awakening Strikers being like evasion players, because if you guys use E buff, you guys can easily get 15% all evasion rate just like that, right there. Plus, if you guys also use Spiral Cannon, it also has 9% of evasion rate. And so that's the reason why you'll see a lot of Awakening Strikers these days. And the Hellbreak is your, you know, once again, the grab on your Awakening form. So first one, you will use main, but then the second one, it will use the Hellbreak just like that. And then you will use your Awakening grab. Next, we have this skill, which is just auto-attacking, which is just pressing down LMBs. And if you guys do so, you guys will get all AP plus 10. So before you guys engage to the enemy, make sure you just auto-attack just to get that, you know, all AP plus 10. And he has a 10 seconds buff, and so it's not bad at all. So buff it up, W+RMB, give a grab, and go from there. Next, we have Endless Fight. In order to use it, is something with like specific skills. So for example, we can do hold spacebar during Crouching Wolf, and Crouching Wolf comes from main skill. And so in order to use Crouching Wolf as well though, is spacebar as well on a specific skill. So we can do something like Enhanced Mass Destruction and then pressing down spacebar and then see what happens. And then just like that at the end, boom, it gives a really nice slash at the end. Like that. And so yeah, that's the skill that you guys can use right there. And then you guys can also press LMB by like Spiral Cannon. So Shift+LMB. and then just hold it down LMB as well, then it will use the endless fight like that. Or you guys can use Furious Assault, W+RMB, and then pressing RMB, and then you guys can use something like that as well. Keep in mind, it doesn't have any protection though, so maybe I wouldn't really recommend using it, but that's the ways that you guys can use for endless fight right there. And then we do have enhanced mass destruction, A or D RMB, and it has a super armor on the first one, but then doesn't have it on the second one, so don't spam it on PvP. However, another cool way to use it is like A or D and then pressing C. And so you will change from, you know, main to awakening, awakening to main, stuff like that. So for example, if you do Q and F, we will stop at succession form. So in order to go to awakening form is we can do like enhanced mass destruction, which is A or D and then pressing C. And now we are on awakening form, for example, in that scenario. And then we have ultimate crush is down LMB. And then, yeah. In order to just use that, it will look something like that. And so once again, we have ultimate crush, which is down LMB. In order to use it is down LMB. And then we can also keep holding LMB, and then we can actually use Autumn Blaze just like this, and it will look something like this. So down LMB, and then hold down LMB, and then boom, just like that, it uses Autumn Blaze at the end as well. Next, we have Spiral Cannon, which is knockdown skill, very powerful. Boom, has a knockdown. However, we have a flow skill, which is crosswind, which is pressing spacebar, and it will look something like this. And then at the end, it does have floating, so you guys can give that a try as well if the first knockdown didn't work, basically. Another cool way to use it is, for example, we can use Twisted Collusion and then press spacebar like that, and then has a floating like that as well. And then another cool way to use it is going to use something like main skill, which is somersault, which is SQ, and then we're gonna press spacebar and then see what happens. So just like that. What the best way I realized was to use this is SQ and then just hold down the spacebar right away, and then that's how you guys can use it easily, just like that. So really cool part about Spiral Cannon is that we can change from succession form to awakening form. So for example, if you hold down the Shift+LMB, then we can use Spiral Cannon. But keep in mind, in the very beginning, it does have a kick, right? And so nobody really wants that. And so in order to get rid of that, then we can use Shift-C instead. So we're on succession form right now. And then if you do Shift-C, it just uses that ability right away. And so it gets rid of that, you know, weird kickness. And so instead of using Shift+LMB, so once again, if you do Shift+LMB, it has that little weird kick and then it goes Spiral Cannon. And so if you guys don't want that, then basically do Shift-C on main form. And then just do something like that. There's another cool way to use the Spiral Cannon, which is using the Crouching Wolf. And then if you press RMB, then it's going to use that right away. Just like that. And so that's another cool way that you guys can add into your knowledge. Next, we have Infernal Destruction, which is just pressing down F. And then if you hold F, it spins again, basically. And then if you hold F, there's a flow skill, which is going to use Battle Cry. And it will look something like this. Roar. And it has, once again, you know, the recovery HP of 300 and then recovery of 65 HP per hit as well. And then there's my personal favorite to use this combo, which is using the Savage Somersault. And then if you hold down F, it's going to use the Skull Crusher, and then after that it's going to use the Infernal Destructions and then Battle Cry. And then you will look something like this. Just like that, it uses 4 abilities. It's very easy combo and lots of damage. Shift+RMB is also really good damage. I have a frontal guard because I use this on a selected skill for PvE grinding. So yeah, personal favorite. Keep in mind, guys, I think frontal guard is where it's at for PvE grinding, but PvPs, you guys can use something like, you know, Skull Crusher, which can have like knockdown for PvP, or Spiral Cannon with super armor, stuff like that. It can be anything, honestly, what your preference is. But yeah, once again, this has lots of damage. So I would definitely add that in my combos. For example, you know, if I give them a grab, right, I can do like Shift+RMB and then give another CC, which is Shift+LMB of Spiral Cannon, and then doing something more combos after that as well. Next, we have Skull Crusher. Once again, in order to use it itself, then you guys can do Shift F and then just hold down F again, right, to use the Infernal Destructions and Battle Cry, stuff like that as well. This one does have super armor, and then it will have knockdown as well if you guys use this right here for selected skills. So yeah, lots of ideas for PvP. And then we have a little dash right here, which is Rampaging Predator, which is WF. And then if you hold down WF again, it will use the Bite Off. And then the bite off is the one that has recover of 300 HP. And so in PvE grinding, if you want more HP, you can definitely use that flow right there. But PvP maybe it's not recommended because it's kind of slow, and so they can kind of predict you. And if you keep using the flow bite off, then they will probably just grab you or something at the end and stuff like that. So not really recommended for PvP. But if you really need the heals, then you know you guys can do it outside of the fight as well, right? And so that's what you guys can do right there as well in that scenario. And then we have Furious Assault, which is another good engagement skill, which is W+RMB. Hold down that W+RMB in order to go further. And then if you guys are close enough, then you guys can easily just press, you know, Hell Break, for example, and go from there. And then if you, let's say that it didn't go really too close to them, then what you guys can do is once again using the Rampage, right? Use a little dash like that, and then now you're close enough. Now you guys can give a grab and go from there as well. Next we have Echo Spirit. If you do have 100% right here, it will give lots of damage while he's like folded his arms, which is kind of cool. But if it doesn't have 100% on BSR, then it will go behind the enemy like this. And so yeah, it's a really good trick to go behind the enemy's back. And so that's the stuff that you guys can maybe use on PvP. And then Fallout is your, you know, backup CC, I guess. So for example, if you need to give a second CC after a grab, then you guys can definitely use that, right? And then give them a second CC just like that. And it doesn't have any frontal guard or any protection, so definitely want to use that on a second CC. Give them a first CC and then second CC just like that. Autumn Blaze is once again LMB during certain skills. So another example right here would be using like Ultimate Crush down LMB. And then holding down LMB will use that skill in that scenario. Another good way to use it is something like Shift+RMB. And then pressing LMB after that, and then you will use the Endless Fight, and you will use Autumn Blaze as well. And then we did talk about it, but once again, Savage Somersault, in order to use it, down F. And then good flow skill is just holding down the F, just like that. And that's it. And so once again, let's just talk about some ways to give CC. Once again, we can use the Furious Assault, W+RMB, and giving a grab, something like that. And then if it was too far away when we did this, then we can do WF and then try to give a grab for the second CC like this. And then for selected skills, we can use Spiral Cannon, and then we can basically use Shift+LMB to give them a first CC. And then if they do fall, second knockdown as using a Fallout as well. And guess what time it is? It's time for combos. And so let's say that we did W+RMB, and then if we do WF, and if you're this close, I'm gonna give them a grab and then show you guys some combos, what you guys can do after giving them a grab. Once again, we engage with Furious Assault, and if you're too short, then we just press WF to go even closer a bit, get a first CC with E, SF, and then hold F for a flow, and then LMB for Blaze for 10% down attack, A or D RMB, spacebar, LMB, and then hold down that LMB for Endless Fight, and then after that Shift+RMB, lots of damage, and then after that back out with Q and F. Once again, we do with W+RMB, get a grab, and then we can start with LMB for Autumn Blaze, and then after that WF, and then Shift+LMB for second CC, spacebar, and then Shift F, SRMB to give lots of damage, and then after that we can do Shift+RMB as well, and then after that we can do Q and F to back out. And then we don't even have to start with the grab. For example, we have Ultimate Crush, and if you do down LMB on the second attack, it does have CC, so it will look something like this. So it does have floating just like that. And then if you hold LMB, it will still going to use Autumn Blaze, and so it's going to be like the same combo that I did previously, and so it will look something like this. And that is it with this part 1 video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If so, like and subscribe. And if you guys need part 2, let me know. And hopefully we'll get that started hopefully very soon as well. Alright? I'll catch you guys later. Ciao for now.